Hello and welcome back to Fire for Revival. Today we're going to be talking a little bit on fellowship, just being with one another, being with believers. So for today I actually have an example. Let me reach around here and grab it. I've got this. Now, plain simply, it's a knife, whatever. But what is a knife's sole purpose? The sole purpose of a knife is obviously like to cut stuff. Either if you had to like chop some wood, which clearly you wouldn't use this knife, you would use like an axe. Or if you had to like cut a steak or like whittle a stick down, whatever reason you would need, you would have a specific tool for that or a knife. Now, after repeated use, knives go dull. It's just plain and simple, it can't stay sharp forever, so after use over and over and over and over and over again, it'll start to go dull. Now this specific one is brand new, so this one is not dull, it's very, very sharp. But just like believers, or just like knives, we as well go dull. When we go through our everyday lives, when we interact with other people, when we just go through our struggles in our everyday lives, we can get dull and become less effective at our purpose. Just like a knife, after repeated uses, will become less effective at cutting things, we become less effective in sharing the gospel and living our life for Christ. In fellowship, or going to church, being with one another, that's very important. Now, it's harder now than ever because we live in a day of technology where we have all sorts of computers, all sorts of like live streams and stuff like that. During sermons, it's most likely, unless you're an older church, will most likely be live streaming or recording or somehow putting your sermons out there on the internet. And don't get me wrong, that's a very, very good thing. It's nice to have. But it makes it a whole lot easier for some people, including at times myself, to be like, well, I don't want to go to church today. I can sit at home on my couch and drink my tea or my glass of water or whatever I've got and just snack on whatever and just stay at home. I'll just stay at home for today. I'll go back next week, but for now I'm just going to stay here and I'll watch it online. Well, next week comes around and you do the same thing. You justify it however you do to just stay at home. And then just over and over again, you end up staying home more often and going out less often. And that's very, very dangerous. Like I said, I understand why some people do those options, because if you're sick or if you're elderly or if you have physical limitations that keep you from physically going to church, being online is a huge blessing because you can't get there other ways, so that's a good way to do it. But for those of us who are healthy and are physically capable, we should be going to church in person and being with one another and being with those believers. Fellowship is like this. Now this is a honing rod. I'll hold it a little bit higher. The whole purpose of this is to keep this sharp. Now, this does not make a knife sharp. The only way a knife can become sharp or a believer can become a believer is by one of these. This is a sharpening stone. The whole point of this is to make this sharp. So you'll run it against the coarse side, and then you'll do it on the fine side to get a sharper and sharper blade. The microphone fell over. How rude. So once you do that, then you've got your edge. Fellowship keeps it sharp. That's what this guy's purpose is. It's repeatedly over and over and over and over sharpening it. It doesn't make the edge there. That's something that only the Holy Spirit can do. That God, He makes you a believer. That's how you become the knife. Fellowship with other believers is how you keep your life sharp. You stay effective. Like I said, after repeated use, this is going to start to get dull. But you come at it with this every now and again, and you're going to maintain that edge. You're going to maintain effectiveness. It's going to revitalize you. It's going to keep you sharp and on the top of your game. Now, eventually, you will get duller and duller and duller in your Christian walk. It happens. Whether it's from, like, you get sick, or you have physical limitations, or just life is getting really, really hard. There will come times where you struggle and where you lose your edge. It's just going to happen. It's inevitable. That's why fellowship with other believers is incredibly important. They continue to sharpen your edge. And the way some of these work, not necessarily this one, but the way some of them work is after use and use and use, you'll get nicks and dings in your edge, and it'll eventually start to have like little jagged spots. So instead of a swift, smooth cut, it'll catch and stop. And let's see if this one is. So whereas, I don't know if you saw that, but you take this and then that's what it's supposed to do. If you get a dull knife or a dull Christian walk, let me see if I have that one. Here it is. Take this. Say this, after a while, you get your nicks, you get your dings. This knife here has been sitting just around being used for every which thing for stuff. I haven't sharpened it, and I haven't paid attention to this one in a while. So essentially, this one would be the believer who hasn't gone to church, who hasn't done fellowship with other believers. That would be this. This, the camera's up there. It can cut a little bit, but it's more tearing. Instead of a smooth, clean cut, it's ripping, shredding, it gets caught, and it gets those jagged edges. It's not a good, sharp blade. That would be the believers that haven't gone to church in a while, or haven't done fellowship with everyone in a while. You need to be like this blade. I mean, a better example would have been up here. Up there is like a little specific hook thing for, like, skinning animals. I mean, I'm a farmer, so that's what we use these knives for. They're butcher knives. But this one up here is designed for like catching and pulling and cutting easily. But this one was a relatively cheap knife, so it didn't come sharpened well up in this little part. So this part will get stuck and it'll get caught and it'll tear. Kind of like us as believers. There will become points in our lives where we'll get stuck, we'll get caught. Those nicks and dings in our life will get stuck and we'll struggle. It's the job of other believers to come and with us, and I don't think this one fits, but to take a sharpening steel, or to take just in our spiritual lives, it would be to tell you about those dings and those nicks. So those dings and nicks being sin in your life or struggles that you have, those would be your dings, and it's other believers' job to take this and sharpen those out and to take those off. Now, that's not always going to be easy or fun. Oftentimes being corrected isn't fun. But it's the believer's job and your Christian family's job to tell you about that in love and in care. To let you know that you have those dings and to slowly help you to sort of like chisel them out and slowly over and over again take those away until you're back to a nice, sharp edge that's able to just to take to take on life with God's strength and to be able to just grab it and cut right through. Of course, now my knife's going dull because I've been playing with it too much, but to be able to cut through, that's the sharp edge we're supposed to have as believers. But like I said, it doesn't always stay that way. In Proverbs 27:17, it says, "Iron sharpens iron, and one man sharpens another." It's up to other believers and ourselves to fellowship with one another. You can't just wane around and say, oh, well, the church will come to me. The whole point of a believer is to go to the church as well. Now, it's the church's job to go to non-believers. But once you are a believer, you can't just wait for them to continue coming back to you. You have to make an effort to go back to church and to be joining with those one another and joining with fellow believers. Now, it won't always be easy. Like I said, there's going to be days where you struggle and be like, well, I really don't want to go today. It was a rough week. I just want to stay at home and chill. But ultimately, even when you might not want to, you'll go and it'll be revitalizing. It'll refresh your heart and your soul, and it'll strengthen you, and it'll encourage you to continue to, it'll take those dings out of your life. It'll make it easier for you to maintain the edge and to maintain effectiveness for God, to go out there and to tell the gospel and to be a good believer. All right, now, you may notice that it looks a little bit different. The weather is changing, daylight savings, whatever happened, so it's staying brighter longer. And as you might be able to hear, there's a bunch of cars going by because it's still bright, so people don't drive by as much, or drive by more. So it'll be a little bit different, just lights are bright and stuff. So hopefully it'll stay this way for a while. I like the warmer weather. It's nice. But everybody have a great rest of your day, and I will catch you guys next time. Oh yeah, one more thing. I got these awesome pens. Check that out. Fire for Revival pen. I think that's backwards. Yeah, the words might be backwards just because that's how the camera works. It like switches around and stuff, but really cool pen. So I got these just as a kind of a promotional thing, and I'm going to give one away to everybody who does a testimony on the podcast, but otherwise, if you want one, just let me know, and I have a limited supply. I think I've got maybe 20 left. 20, 15, somewhere around there, but yeah, I don't have a whole lot left. If you want one, shoot me up and I'll either get you one or tell you sorry I ran out, but either way, that's the first little bit of merch, and hopefully I'll have shirts, hats, all sorts of other cool stuff, but for right now, we're just testing out stuff. Anyways, everybody have a great rest of your day, and the Lord bless you.